Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Disaster averted. It's close. Let's chant the Sri Upanishad together. Is somebody running the slides, or does it require a technician? What? Sri Upanishad.
Yeah, we can.
The Sri Upanishad starts with an invocation that says that the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he's completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly complete in themselves. No matter how many complete units emanate from the complete whole, it remains the complete balance. So what kind of mathematics is that? Do you all study mathematics? It's absolute mathematics. 1 minus 1 is still 1. Tell me when it's up. Do you know this all? All the verses? You know how many verses are there? 19. So do you know the verses? You've been looking at them, right? It's 19, including the invocations. There's 18, 1 through 18, but then there's an invocation verse, so right answer, 19 verses have important spiritual power. If we hear them and remember them, they'll give a good direction. This is an easy one to memorize. All you have to do is come together regularly and just recite them together out loud. And within a month, you'll start to, when you're walking around, they'll be banging around in your head. At least parts of them will be. And then if you go over them a little more, another month together, as much as possible, maybe read them every day. How long do you think it would take to chant just the Sanskrit? 5 minutes? There should be a prize. None of you write it down, whoever guesses which. No, this is the prize. You can't write on this. Here, you can use my notebook. Here. Prize is a sticker. So, give her times that you think it'll take us to complete this, and she'll write it down with your name. 6 minutes? Anyone else? It's who's ever closest, by the way. 8. 4.5. Anybody? 7. I have no stake in it, so I won't slow it down or speed it up. Yeah? 4 minutes? 4 minutes 31, okay. 6 minutes. What? 7 minutes. Does everybody put theirs in? What are you going to put? Everybody knows what you said. You tell us if you won or not. I'm going to go for 3 minutes, 49 seconds. You ready? Om Purnamada Purnamida. Just kidding. I'm not that competitive. Right, and you're cool? Okay, let's sing it together. You ready? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyakte. Who's keeping time? Kasiswiddanam. That says 1 minute and 40 seconds already. 19 seconds. All right, start over. Here we go. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Ishavasya Midam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bunjita magridha kasya sviddanam kurvane veha karmani jiji vishekshatam samaha evam tvainanyate tosti na karma lipite nare asurya namate loka andena tamasavritaha tamste pritya vigashanti ye kechatma hanojanaha aneja dekam manaso javiyo naina deva apnuvan purvanarshat tadhavatonyanat yeti tishtat tasminapo matarishva dadati tadejati tanaijati tadure tadvantike tarantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya syabhayataha yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijagupsate yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaivad budvijanataha tatra ko mohakashoka ekatvam manupashyataha saparya gachukram makayam avranam asnaviram shudham apapavidham kavir manishi paryabhu swayambhur yathatyat yatortan vyaradashasvatibhya samabhyaha andantama pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya evate tamo ya'u vidyayam rataha anyareva hurvidyaya anyarahur avidyaya iti shushu madhiranam yenastad vijichakshire vidyam cha yas tadvedo vayam saha avidyayam ratum dirtva vidyayam ratum ashnute andantama pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya evate tamo ya'u sambhutyam rataha anyadeva husambhavad anyadahur asambhavat iti shushu matiranam yenastad vichichakshire sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad vedo bayam saha vinashena vratum tirtva sambhutyam vratum ashnute hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam pushan apavranu satyadharmaya drishtaye pushani karshiyama surya prajapatya vyuharasmin samuha tejo yate rupam kalyanatamam tate pashyamiyo savasau purusha sohamasmi vayur anilam amratam atedam bashmantam shariram om kratos smara kritam smara kratos smara kritam smara agnenaya supataraya sman vishvani deva vayunani vidvan yuyodyasmascha haranameno bhuyishtam te nama uktim vidhema. 4:30. What is it? 4:30.98. You said 4:30? You said 4:31. You said 4:30 and said 40. You said 4:30? You said 4.5. It's closer to 31. How'd you do that? You sure? Well, whatever it is, It's under 5 minutes a day. And if you know about health, there's certain health things you can do. If you do them regularly every day, for instance, take a walk, or there's certain supplements you take so that you're healthy, like every day you drink enough water, then you just naturally be healthy. And spiritually, there's supplements. So when you take time to recite the Sri Upanishad every day, it'll give you spiritual power. And besides that, these verses are very choice verses to quote at various intervals. When you're thinking about a philosophical point, it's always potent to back up whatever you say with a verse. If you can learn 30, 60, 100 verses that you know really well, that cover several different topics, and when you're speaking in spiritual circles, then you can back up what you say with a verse, and then it makes it perfect. The next one is, what? We hereby award you the Sri Upanishad Prize. We only ask that you, from the next 3 months, recite the Sri Upanishad daily. What percentage of 24 hours is 4.5 minutes? What percentage of your day? Somebody either do it in your head or look it up. Less than 1%? What's the exact? You got the calculator out. You're our CTO. What is it? Oh, okay. Is that AI listening to what we say? I'm sorry? It's 0.0034% of your day. So that's not too much to ask, right? You'll now be the Acharya of the Sri Upanishad and keeping us all going. If you do it, I'll do it. Deal? Okay. Now let's try the Sri Upadeshamrita. Who wrote the Sri Upadeshamrita? Sure about that? Sure it wasn't Sanatana Goswami? Wasn't Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? Anyone who wanted to change your vote? Right, it was Rupa Goswami. So let's do the Sanskrit together. Shall we? Say yes. Okay, here we go. Is it up? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here we go. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam, jihva vegam udrapasta vegam, etan vegam yo vishahetadhira, sarvamapi mam pritivim sashishyad, atyahara prayashascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, janashangascha lalyam cha, Shadbir bhaktir vinashyati, utsahan nishchayadharyat, tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagat shatovrate, shadbhir bhakti prasidyati, dadati pratagrannati, guhyamakyati prichyati, punkte bhojayate chaiva, Shadvidam pritilakshanam, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta, Dikshasti che pranati bishabhajantamisha, Shushushaya bhajana vignamananyamanya nindari shunya hridamipsita sangalabhya drishtai sabhava janitar vapushascha doshar na prakritattvamiha bhaktya danasya pashet gangam nasam nakalu buddha pena pankar Brahmadravapvamapagachati niradharmai Syat Krishna nama charitari sitapta vidya Pito patapta rasanasya narochikanu Kintwavarat anudilam kalu sarva jushta Swadvikramat bhavati tad gadamula hantri Tannama rupa charitari sukirtananu Smrityo kramena manasini yoja Tishtam vrajetananuragi jananugami Kalam nayeda kilamityupadesha saram Vaikuntaschanito varamadupuri tatrapi rasotsavar Vrindaranya mudarapani ramana tatrapi govardhanaha Radha kunda bihapi gokulepate premamrita lavanat Kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam vaveki nakaha Karmibhya parito hare priyataya Vyaktim to jnaninas Tebhyo jnani vimukta bhakti parama premaika nishtastata Tebhyasta pashupala pankadadrishas tabhyopi saradhika Prishtastadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tam nashayat kakriti Krishnasyo chai pranaya vasati prasibhyo piradha Kundam chasya munibirapitas tadrige vyadayi Yat preshter apyalam asulabam kim punar bhakti bhajam Tat premedam sakridhapi sarasnata tarvishkaroti Tat premedam sakrid apisara snata avishkaroti. Where are you getting the, where's that coming from? Oh, it's a little strange. Okay, let's read just read the first 3 verses, translation from the Sri Upanishad. You read 1, 2, 3.
Devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements.
There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulated principles, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These are 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service.
1, 2, 3. Keep going, please. 4, 5, 6.
Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another.
One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshiping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others.
Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee having a body born of a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to the ordinary vision, such imperfection may seem prominent in the body of pure devotee. But despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy seasons are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water does not become polluted. Those who are advanced in the spiritual understandings will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of ignorance cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and revering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging in one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Rajas and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service.
The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura only is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Raslila pastimes, and superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes, and above all the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme. For it, the overflooded with the ambrosial nectar, prema of Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna, where then in that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve the divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill.
In the Shastra, it is said that of all type of fruitive workers, he who is advanced in the knowledge of higher value of life is favored by Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in the knowledge, jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtues of his knowledge may take up to the devotional service. He is superior to the other. However, one who has actually attained the prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopi are exalted above all advanced devotees because they are the translator called her boy. Among the gopis, the Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda is profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as the most beloved of the gopis, who then will not reside at the Radha Kunda and in the spiritual body surcharged with the ecstatic devotional feeling and render loving service to divine couple of Sri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakaliya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastime. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the bank of Radhakunda are the most fortunate people in the universe.
Shri Upadeshamrita Sampurnam Hare Krishna. Now let's hear the translation to Shri Upanishad. Can he read? Him. Right there. No? No read? We'll do it together. Let's try.
The personality of Godhead is...
I don't hear anything coming from him.
God is perfect and complete, and because He is completely perfect at all incarnations, form is such as perfectly equivalent as the complete worlds. Whatever is produced of the complete world is also complete in itself because of His the complete world, even to so many complete units from Him, He remains to complete balance.
Sadhu, sadhu. Very good. Okay, let's go through the next ones. Pass the mic. We'll start back at the beginning and go around this way. Oh, you two start because you didn't get a chance. The three back there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, number 1.
Everything immanent or inimmanent that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
Mantra 2. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way, for that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man.
The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
Although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is stricter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him, although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all their excellence.
Mantra 6. Mantra 5. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything.
He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels,
Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is embodied,
Unembodied.
omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial.
Those who engage in the culture of omniscient activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in culture of so-called knowledge.
The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nations.
Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods, only one who can learn the process of nations and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality.
Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal Absolute.
It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it.
One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men, and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death in ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it, and in the eternal kingdom of God he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge.
O my Lord, sustainer of all lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effluence. Kindly remove that covering.
Effulgence.
Effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotees.
O my Lord, O preeminent philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of pure devotees, well-wisher of progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal supreme personality of God, like unto the sun as I am.
As am I. All the way to the back. Oh, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Let this temple body be burned into ashes, and let the life be made must be totally of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices and become thee. You are the unit benefit. Please remember all that I have done for you.
Haribol.
O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress.
Shri Upanishad ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pass that mic up. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more card call. Is that another one? Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Got to chant. Can't hear you. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. You sing it. Sing it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pretty close. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Habo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Make sure it's on. Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo. Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Haribo, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Put the mic, please. Go, go. Hare Ram. Haribo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Try. Krishna, we'll help you. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. I'll help you, I'll help you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Go. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Haribo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Harinam Mantra Ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki, Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Could somebody bring me a Bhagavatam, please? Or bring me Bhagavad Gita. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Would you all mind moving up a little? Coming closer. By at least 6 feet. Come up all the way to the infield. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, who has a dictionary? You do? Who has a smartphone? Then you got a dictionary, right? Please look up the word ephemeral. Ephemeral. Where did you hear that word recently? Within the last hour. Hint, must have been in the Sri Upanishad. It's in the last several verses of the Sri Upanishad. Ephemeral. Does anybody know what it means? Ephemeral? Yeah. You need to use the microphone, though. Can we use that? Who has it? You have it?
It's ephemeral, it's an adjective, and it says lasting for a very short time.
Lasting very, very short time. And where does the word come from? Go ahead. Nitai Goda Haribo. Haribo. Our research team is looking it up. Haribo. You better hurry up or they'll replace you with AI. Go ahead. Who's got it? Yeah. You got that? You got the mantra? We'll take that for now. Here, take the microphone. How many mics you got? Just one? Okay, go ahead. Which verse is it from? Ephemeral. Yeah. That's not on. You use it, but just turn it on, that's all. Turn that one off. Turn it off.
God, HG Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary deification with its temporary demigods, men and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it, and in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge.
Okay, now let's hear the definition of ephemeral. We want to know the etymology of the word too, right? Go ahead, tell us.
1560s, C ephemeral plus minus AL1, originally of diseases and lifespans, lasting.
Originally what?
Originally of diseases and lifespans.
Diseases and lifespans? Go ahead.
Lasting but one day.
Lasting but one day. Go ahead.
Extended sense of transitory is.
Can you hear?
60-30s. Related ephemerality.
Thank you. Who's got more? I want to know where it comes from.
It says it's from Greek word.
Greek. It's a Greek word. Keep going. Ephemeros. That's Greek. Any Greeks in here? No? Okay, go ahead.
It says from the late 16th century.
Yes?
And it was combined with the word ephemera in English, in the AL suffix.
Okay.
The word ephemeral and used in the 16th century.
What's the breakdown of the word? Go online to etymoline.com. Etymoline. E as in etymological, but it's called etymoline. Etymoline. You got it? That etymoline.com. You got the app? Let me see it. Yeah.
Late 14th century, originally a medical term for medieval Latin, ephemera, febris, fever lasting a day.
So this cosmic manifestation is ephemeral. Kind of get the idea of it. Original sense of it was a medical term, fever that would be here one day and then it's gone. And we're talking, when it's in relationship to the entire cosmic manifestation, how long does the whole cosmic manifestation, how long is it extant? $311 trillion years, according to the Bhagavatam. And then when Mahavishnu inhales, then it takes an equal amount of time before it exhales again. That's mentioned in the Rama Samhita, Yashaikanishvasitikala Valambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha Vishnur Mahansi Ahyasya Kala Vishesho. Last line. Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Mahavishnu is the great form of the Lord. When he exhales, all of the universes come out of him, and when he inhales, the whole cosmic manifestation comes back. So 311 trillion years, doesn't it sound like a long time? But here it's being described as ephemeral in relationship to a word that means it's here for one day and then it's gone the next. So there's a sense of, because if you juxtapose eternality with anything that's temporary, then there's a sense of how temporary things are. The material world's ephemeral. Were there any other verses from the Sri Upanishad that caught your attention when we were reading them? Earlier we recited the Sri Upanishad. Hare Krishna. Which one did you hear that, any part of that you liked, that caught your attention? Yes? Hare Krishna.
If I remember correctly, you recite verse 17 and 18 before you take a rest at night. Could you give us some background on why you recite?
I recite 18 before I take rest. Agninaya supatharaya sman vishvani deva vayunani bidman yuyodyasmastu harana meno puyishtam te nama uktim videma. Which says, can you read that one? 18. Yeah.
O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress.
I'm going to read a little bit of the purport. And please listen really carefully because then I'll ask you questions, okay? Say yes. Need a verbal yes. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. What was the first line? Don't look. Huh? No, you can't look. Turn the screen off. What was the first line? What? Okay, just leave it off. Who's running the screen? Can you turn it off, please? I'll read it again, just listen. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. I'm not asking you to recite it back completely and whole. I just want to know what the feeling of it was. What did it say? What? I'll read it again. Please listen. This is from the purport. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. What did the first line of the purport say? Okay, wait. One person, take the mic and say something, what you feel. Yes?
You can go on the path of self-realization.
What? Hold on. Let him speak. Go ahead. Say it again.
By surrendering to Krishna, he will help us progress on the path of self-realization.
Okay, hold on to the mic. I'm going to ask you more questions. What does it mean to surrender to Krishna? What does that practically mean? Wait, he's speaking. When he wants a lifeline, he'll call a friend. What does it mean to surrender to Krishna?
For me, it's like completely depending on the Lord for everything.
completely depending on the Lord for everything. Okay? Can anybody say more about what it means to surrender to Krishna? You want to say? Take the microphone. Nothing counts until you speak into the mic.
So it means that you have that faith that whatever happens, Krishna is going to protect you. You have that faith so strong. No matter what, Krishna is always going to protect you. Rakshasvi. And we do whatever is desirable to Krishna, and we reject what is not desirable to Krishna.
Okay, so what do we have so far? Summarize the three elements that we have that represent surrender to Krishna.
Complete faith on Krishna, complete dependence that he will protect me no matter what.
Complete faith that Krishna will protect me in any circumstance. Then?
And then,
You said doing things.
We have to do whatever is favorable to Krishna, and we reject what is unfavorable to Krishna.
Okay, so this is two of the elements of surrender, and you said be dependent on the Lord. So now somebody tell me from the Upadeshamrita where we heard a list, or what was in the list in the Sri Upadeshamrita of what are favorable attitudes or activities towards the Lord. You want to go? What? What? Is that a question or an answer? Okay. Wait. When she has a lifeline and calls a friend, then she'll call on you. Go ahead. You use the mic. If you don't know the answer, say it anyway and go down in flames. Go ahead. Very good. Okay, just tell us a little bit what that means. Okay, so first word is utsahan. Utsahan. And somebody who knows what it means, who knows what it means? Wait, do you know what it means? Wait, don't say. Come up here. Come here. Tell me what it means. Okay, stand here. Who doesn't know what utsahan means? Okay, so turn around or go over there and then act it out. And we'll try to guess what it is. Don't say anything, just act it out. Act. Who's an actor in here who can coach him? Okay, go up there. You're an actor? Go up. You ask him secretly what it means, and you act it out. He'll tell you what it means. Utsahan, this is the first quality that Krishna says is favorable for devotional service, right? Act it out. 3, 2, 1, go. Any guesses? What? That is correct. Enthusiasm. Thank you. Very good. Good job. First one, enthusiasm. What does enthusiasm mean? Huh? Look it up. And also, who has a Sri Upadeshamrita? Can I have one? Is it hard to get? You can get one from the temple? Bring a Sri Upanishad while you're at it. Try to make it under 2 minutes. Try to make it under 1 minute and 30 seconds. So, utsahan, and what's the dictionary definition, of enthusiasm? Who's got it? Remember, nothing counts until you speak into the microphone. No points awarded.
It's a noun. Its definition is intense and eager enjoyment,
Say it again slowly.
Okay. Noun, enthusiasm, a noun, intense and eager enjoyment.
Intense or eager enjoyment. Interest.
Or approval.
Approval. Do you approve of devotional service? That's enthusiasm. And what are the other elements? Say them again. Intense. Intense, say it from the beginning.
Intense and eager enjoyment.
Intense and eager enjoyment. Or? Interest. Or approval. Tell more about it. Enthusiasm.
A thing that arouses feelings of intense and eager enjoyment. And it comes from Greek. Theos means God. Then it went to Greek enthusiasm, be inspired or possessed by a God. Another Greek enthusiamos, late Latin
Good.
enthusiamus, inspiration, frenzy. The word that came to its current form as enthusiasm in mid-16th century.
Okay, so en theos. Theos means God. So en means in, so the God within. That's the literal meaning, enthusiasm, inspired by God from within one's heart. Who could tell me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that I am in your heart, and if you're sincere, eager about devotional service, then I will give you intelligence, I will give you a sense of enthusiasm in your heart. Who knows such a verse from the Bhagavad Gita? Shall I give you hints? Shall I give you hints? What I would do if I was you, I would go get a Bhagavad Gita. There's no rules here. Go, get a Bhagavad Gita. Quick, quick, quick. 15:15. 15:15 is Sarvasya Chaham Vridisani Vishto Mattaksmitir Gana Motapohanam Cha Vedaishta Sarver Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Kridveda Vedeva Chaham. 10:11 Te Sham Evanukam Partam Ahama Gyana Jamtamaha Nashayam Yatma Bhavasto Gyana Deepena Basvata. What does this verse say? Who knows? Mataji, do you know what it means? No credit unless you use the mic. No credit unless you turn the mic on. Okay, Hare Krishna.
The devotees who worship me, the devotees who worship me, he gives knowledge from within his heart.
You know Sanskrit, right?
Yeah, but I forgot.
Listen to the verse. Tesham ivanukam partam ahama gyana jamtama nashayam yatma bhavasto gyana deepena bhashvata. Bhashvata.
Dispel the darkness.
Yes, how? There's a metaphor in this verse, right?
By giving knowledge from within.
In which way? What's the metaphor? What's a metaphor? Huh? What?
As a Paramatma.
Yeah, but what is a metaphor? Look it up.
Light of knowledge.
No, I'm not asking what the metaphor is. I'm asking what a metaphor is. No credit without microphone. No credit without turning the microphone on.
Comparing and contrasting.
Comparing and contrasting. Okay. I'll give you a C+. Metaphor.
A figure of speech in which a word or
A figure of speech. Enunciate. Speak it really clear. A figure of speech. Keep going.
a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is
A word in which a word or phrase
is applied to an object
or action to which
it is not literally applicable.
read the last part again. I couldn't hear you. For which
Phrases applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable.
Could you understand? Could you hear? Read it out. Read it again. You read it out loud. Definition one more time so we get it really clear. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
A figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable.
Yeah, and are there any examples given in there of what a metaphor? And where does the word come from? Break it down.
Metaphors are everywhere. Saying he's a couch potato.
He's a couch potato.
Or she's got a heart of gold.
She's got a heart of gold. So that's metaphor. Go ahead. Where does it come from? History of the word. Greek. It's all Greek tonight. All these words. Go ahead. You want to say? You got it? Give her the mic.
Metaphor is a noun and its origin starts with Greek metapherin.
Meta what?
Metapherin. Pherin. P-H-E-R-E-N.
Metapherin.
Metapherin.
That's the Greek word.
Yes. It means to transfer.
To transfer.
And another Greek it changed to metaphora. Then it got into Latin. From there it went to French. Metaphore. And then in the late 15th century, the word became metaphor.
And the parts mean?
No.
I stole somebody's.
There's nothing else. Okay.
Sorry.
And from late 15th century, from French metaphor via Latin, from Greek metaphora, from metapherin to transfer.
To transfer. All right. So what's the metaphor in the verse that you quoted? It says that Krishna's saying that I'll light a lamp in your heart. Jnana dipena, everyone say. Jnana dipena. Bhashvata. Say Bhashvata. So there's a way in which when somebody is sincere and inquires about Krishna, then he's in the heart and he lights a lamp. And that lamp illuminates one's heart with knowledge. Is it a metaphor? Say yes.
Yes.
10 points. Would have been 20 if you'd said it the first time. Okay, so metaphor. You're describing something to be like a known situation or other thing. So Krishna, within one's heart, we're going back to the word ay. We're talking about the enthusiasm as one of the favorable aspects of devotional service, and we're tracing it back to surrender. Isn't that practical? Krishna says to surrender, and then we say, how do we surrender? And one of the ways is to be, 20 points on the line here, to be 20. Everyone else blanked out. Okay, so to be enthusiastic. If you're enthusiastic, what does it mean? What does the word mean? And theos. It means you're getting inspiration from theos, from the God within your heart. Literally, it means that. And what language does it come from? Good. He's on track for scoring a lot of points today. Okay, so then we have evidence. Krishna says it in the Bhagavad Gita. If you go to 10.10, he says something similar. Who knows what 10.10 is? Let me ask a more important question. If I was to ask you what verse 10.10 is in the Bhagavad Gita, and you didn't know what it is, how would you tell me? What would you do? If I told you to beg, borrow, or steal in order to give me the answer, what would you do right now? Okay, you've got a phone. Very good. That counts. What else would you do if you didn't have a phone? I'd go get a Gita if I was you. If it's a Hare Krishna temple, try to grab a Bhagavad Gita. Where's another verse that says that he enthuses you from within the heart? Well, you already know the verse, right? But how would you find it if you didn't know. Let me introduce you to this Bhagavad Gita. It's got a couple of things that you'll be interested in. In the back of this Bhagavad Gita, this is a list of all the Sanskrit verses in the Gita. So if you ever are trying to remember a verse, you can look it up back here alphabetically. And then you've got a general index. That means you can look up anything in here by subject. What else does it have? It also has a list of all the verses quoted in the Bhagavad Gita. Besides the verses themselves, this is verses quoted. That means they're in the purport somewhere. So if you were looking for something, you knew it was quoted, but you didn't know where it was, you can find it in here. So you can look it up also in the general index. So the first line of the purport we read was about surrender to Krishna, wasn't it? And where was it? Text 18. I'll read it one more time. And then we're going to ask somebody to give a short explanation. So the first verse says, by surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. You give an explanation of the first line with verses and tell what every word means as much as you can from what we've had discussed so far. I'll read it again. Give him the mic. You got it? Says here, he's going to give us a short class on this first line. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for his causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self-realization. Now hold forth. Tell us all you know about it. Use the mic or no credit.
So if you surrender to Krishna, then based on the enthusiasm, by confidence, patience.
Keep the mic closer.
By giving up the association of non-devotees and by following the great acharyas, so then you'll be able to advance on the path of self-realization and you'll come closer to Krishna.
Very good. Quote us some verses from the Gita, or a verse from the Gita, or tell us, give us some etymological meaning of one of the words.
One verse is 10:11, which talks about how Krishna, how he dwells in the hearts of the devotees, and then he uses a metaphor which talks about how he destroys the ignorance in people's hearts with the knowledge that he gives them, and then
Lamp.
the lamp of knowledge, and then a metaphor is when you compare words and it has Greek origins in comparing different words.
Okay, give a closing statement. Therefore,
Krishna in everybody's hearts when we pray to him, so he will slowly but surely give us the knowledge and to destroy the ignorance within our hearts.
and then a call to action.
We should pray to Krishna and we should ultimately surrender.
Very good class. Very good. Excellent. So I recommend memorize all the verses. Sri Upanishad, Upadeshamrita, take you a few months. You just have to get together and recite them on a regular basis. And then learn how to connect them. Look at them, learn what they mean, and then see how you can branch out and discuss even one sentence, and then find out the different meanings of it and expound upon it. Speak about it. Okay? Say yes. Everybody say yes. Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We have a great opportunity to hear and chant. One of the sure ways to become impervious to the effects of the material world is to continuously hear and chant about Krishna. Continuous means, for those who are beginning in Krishna consciousness, that one should do it at least once a day without fail. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, welcome, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Now let's see if you have any questions. Yes, please. Could you give her the mic, please?
This is, for all of us, if utsaha, enthusiasm is the most important important step for us to continue the progress of devotional service, what can we do to constantly keep ourselves enthusiastic?
One practical thing you can do is write down your goals. One of the reasons that we lose enthusiasm is because we don't know where we're going and we feel overwhelmed. But if you take some time to write down your goals and have them clearly in your mind, then you'll feel a sense that you know what to go for and you know what you're trying to achieve. So writing down your goals gives a sense of self-actualization, as the level that we desire is indicative of our consciousness. And just like looking in a mirror, we can write down what we want to achieve, and then we can see what is our state of consciousness. And when we have a set of goals that we're working towards, and they can be for body, mind, and spirit, as all of those are included in the holistic practice of Krishna consciousness. Body, you have to stay healthy, right? If you were going to make goals for your body, you might include something like being careful what you eat. It might also include some form of movement like exercise. And mind. What kind of goals could you set for your mind? What? Why don't you look it up in the Bhagavad Gita? Use the index and look up in the general index, austerities of the mind. I would look for mind and then look for austerities. Do you have to go? 5 minutes? Okay. Thank you for your utsahan. Entheos, from Greek, the God within. He came back and forth and delivered these books all the way from there within about a minute. There, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends ways in which you can purify your mind. He calls them the austerities of the mind. Did you find it? We don't use indexes anymore, do we? She says, hey Siri. 9.
Satisfaction, simplicity, gravity.
Say where it's from.
17.16.
Say it more clearly so everyone can hear.
17.16.
In which book?
The Bhagavad Gita.
17.
0.16.
Okay.
And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, Self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind.
Say it again.
And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind.
Out of those, if you were going to make a goal for yourself, for your mind, which one would you pick? Self-control? Okay. Anybody else? Simplicity. Anybody else? Satisfaction. There's a lot to choose from, right? Now, I'm going back to her question about staying enthusiastic. What if you made a goal to be satisfied? What would you do? What? You develop gratitude for what you already have? Or for whatever you get, maybe, too, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yadricha labha santushto. Santushto means to be satisfied. Labha, with gain. And yadricha means what? What comes of its own accord. I don't try so hard. What comes naturally, I accept it. And I'm satisfied just with that. To whatever degree. I'm not asking, we can't ask ourselves to do anything artificial, but I'm just pointing out body. Then Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yukta hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapna babodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. He says, don't sleep too much, but what else? Don't sleep too little. It's more likely nowadays that people sleep too little than they sleep too much, right? Isn't it? So he says, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. You could make a goal around that. It could change the way you live. If you decided to go to bed at a certain time every night and wake up with enough rest. So body, mind, soul, and then in your spiritual practice, you could make goals. What kind of goals could you make spiritually? Raise your hand. Okay, take the mic.
Spiritual practices of chanting japa.
Okay, can anybody say more? What spiritual goals would you set? Read more spiritual books. RMSB. Read more spiritual books. Could you be more specific? What does more mean? No credit without the mic, by the way.
Like going deeper into the knowledge, books.
Try to quantify it, make it specific. If you, nowadays, let's just say I'm not reading Bhagavad Gita every day. Is that possible with anybody? You don't read it every day? Does anybody here read the Bhagavad Gita every day without fail? Raise your hand if you do. Okay. If you didn't raise your hand and you don't read the Bhagavad Gita without fail every day, what goal could you make if that was something you wanted to do? You're shaking your head. What would you say as a goal? No, if you're not reading the Bhagavad Gita every day and you want to make a goal, a quantifiable goal, what would you say as a goal? Let me give you a hint.
To learn more and more about
No. Quantifiable. More and more is not a quantity that you can... I read at least blank... A chapter a day? DDs are open. Okay. What if you set a goal that I would read one verse a day, no matter what? What if you did that? What would happen to your life? If you said, every day I will read at least one verse of the Bhagavad Gita without fail. What do you think? How do you think you'd feel? You'd feel amazing, huh? Anybody else have any opinions? Yes? Satisfied? Yeah? Well, these are some of the ways to become enthusiastic. We're just touching upon it, but you can engineer your own life. One of the reasons that we lose enthusiasm is because we have a sense that we're not in control of our lives. We have a sense that we have to do what everybody else wants. We have to work hard just to pay the property tax and so forth. But if we have our own goals, even if they're minuscule, it doesn't matter where you start. It has to be something more than 0 and not less than 1. What does it have to be? Something more than 0 and? Yeah, that's all you have. It doesn't matter what the number is, but it has to be something quantifiable, not more and more, not just I'll do it some days or whatever. But if you make a clear goal, then the enthusiasm starts because you have an idea. Now I'm going to read you what Prabhupada says about enthusiasm. Which book were we? Oh, it's Utsahan Nischaya Daryat. Shall I? Okay, 3 people, 4 people said yes. Everybody else, cover your ears. Seriously. Okay. This is from text 3 from the Upadeshamrita. And Prabhupada is talking about the 6 principles favorable to execution of devotional service. First one is to be enthusiastic. So Prabhupada writes, devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has defined devotional service as follows. If you know the verse, please say it with me. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmanyadavritam anakulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktirutama. Uttama bhakti, or unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitive karma, impersonal jnana, and all other selfish desires. Then, further along, Prabhupada talks about utsahan, which I'm looking for as I speak. Here it is. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or enthusiasm. The devotees find the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation, but practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. So to be enthusiastic, you have to use your intelligence and then act on it. And one of the ways that's very practical is set your own goals for your life in devotional service. Does anybody have their goals written down for the year 2024? 1, 2. Where do you keep them? In a book. Where do you keep yours? Did you write down your goals for 2024? That's what I was asking. One is written down and you read the Ramayana and you write yours down. So that's a highly recommended means to become enthusiastic. Do you have another question? You have a question? Yeah.
So my question is like, for teenagers, I have a teenage son, not to trying to put him on spotlight, but how do I encourage him to read more scriptures, not sounding controlling, because the eyes don't work on him, it works on the younger one, but not on the older one. Like, how do I encourage him with love to spend some time to read scriptures?
Got to have a youth group. You have to have, teenagers need peers. P-E-E-R, peers, P-E-R-S, peers. Teenagers only thrive when they have peer association, generally. And if you have a group of peers who are doing stuff, then everyone else will do it too. That's the secret. When peers see each other doing things that are cool, like it's cool to recite Shastra, but not many people know it. But when cool kids start learning Shastra and reciting it, then other ones will just see it and jump in. But if you tell them every day through a month of Sundays that they should do it, it's not necessarily they're going to do it. Everyone needs a group.
Suppose let's imagine the group is like on vacation. Most of the time, people travel to a lot of places during breaks. So at that situation, how do we encourage them or guide them? It's okay to read sometime. Spend a little bit amount of time in a day, at least like the waking hours.
Best way is to do things with people. Like, everyone's busy and everyone has things to do. So if you just ask somebody, you want to hear a verse, and then you read a verse together, then they'll be there. Like at home, if you have a time when when anybody who's there can just read together a little bit and hear, and then you'll sit together and hear. It can be nice.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. No.
Krishna, how can I scientifically, give myself proof?
Well, first we have to understand the different methods of science. When you're conducting empirical experiments, they have to be controlled. The controlled experiment is the very essence of empirical investigation. And the reason that it works with physical matter, whether it's subtle or gross, to some degree it works. There are things like the Heisenberg principle, which says that when you start to look at things, then they start to change also. And there's a way in which, however, we've made great strides in science because we're superior energy, we're consciousness. And to some degree, we can manipulate matter through the controlled experiment. We can figure out its characteristics and how it works because it's mechanical. However, consciousness is not mechanical. It's a different category of energy, so you require a different means of investigation. And in investigating consciousness, one has to apply the principles of science, scientific investigation, that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. For instance, if you're approaching a superior person that has everything you want and they don't necessarily need you, there's a way in which to approach them. For instance, if you're going to a job interview and you want the job and there's lots of other applicants going for it, you need them, but they don't need you necessarily. Is there a science for approaching the interviewer? Would you find it somewhere on the internet or something that what's the best way to be an interviewee in the case of being interviewed for a job that you want and need? Yes or no? What would be some of the characteristics? What would be some of the advice that you would get to approach such a situation?
Be humble.
Be humble. Okay, what else?
Not too humble.
Yeah. There are certain, And humility isn't one of the empirical ways in which, in fact, humility is listed by Krishna in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 8 through 13. He describes the kinds of scientific tools that you use to understand consciousness or the supreme consciousness. And it starts with the two words, aman itvam adam vitvam, humility and pridelessness. So you're absolutely right. Material nature, we go after basically in science with a crowbar, and we say, we know how to extract the information from you. But you can't do that when you're approaching the supreme consciousness. In the way that you approach empirical problems, you have to apply the empirical means to understand it. When you approach the supreme consciousness, you start with a given. There is a supreme consciousness, and now give me the tools. Then if you use the tools, amani, dvam, adambitva, himsa, shantir, arjavam, there's 20 of them altogether in that verse. Starting with humility, exactly right, as you said. Then you'll be able to experience for yourself. And this, as Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, and we just talked about the verse, he'll begin to reveal himself directly to such a person. Next is, you have to one has to establish what one will accept as evidence. And we also have to be qualified to examine evidence. If you have written a scientific paper, let's say for your thesis, and you want somebody to take a look at it, and you just run out the door and you find a street vendor who can barely speak the English language, and you say, here, could you review my paper for me? Would that be helpful, do you think? No. And in a similar way, when we're approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have to have a review process with those who are acquainted with the science. So Krishna advises, tadvidi pranipatena prashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Approach somebody who has the knowledge and use these tools. He gives 3. They're very similar. That you go as pranipat. That means humble yourself. Next is render some service. That's an interesting scientific way. If you go to somebody and you render them service, well, what if somebody came and did some service for you? How would you feel about them? Especially if they didn't ask for anything in return. They just did it out of the goodness of their heart. How would you feel? And if then they asked you a question humbly about your life or anything else, would you be more or less inclined to answer them because they approached you humbly and rendered service to you?
More.
Yeah. So there's a way in which Krishna, the premise is, the given is, that Krishna is a person. And logically, scientifically and logically, if there is an infinite, the infinite has the power, by definition, to reveal himself to the infinitesimal. Some might say, well, nobody can know God. That's a contradictory sentence, because to say that, you'd have to be God. Because to know that nobody can know God, or that there is no God, you'd have to be God who knows everything. So you just contradicted yourself. It's more honest to be agnostic and say, I just don't know. So if one approaches, there's what some people call blind faith. Some people take up a practice of spirituality without knowing why they're doing it or what the elements are. This is often referred to as blind faith. You've heard that, right? But there's another side which is called blind doubt. And blind doubt means that although there's perhaps something beyond my perceptual horizon, for instance, let's say a parent tells a child, beyond the line of the horizon, there's more landmass. You just can't see it. And the child says, that's not true. I can't see anything. I once had an argument with my parents when I was driving. I was in the back of the car, and we were driving across part of California that was desertous, and there was a mirage. And I thought it was a lake, and they said it wasn't. And I argued back, and I said, no, you don't know. They did know. They had superior knowledge. I had blind doubt. So one has to also have a openness to understand. One other point that Kapila makes in the third canto of the Bhagavatam is that the function of the intelligence, or one of the functions of the intelligence, is doubting. One should doubt. And doubting is meant to triangulate to get you to a source that you can trust. And without a source you can trust in any science, for instance, if you go into a geometry class, they're going to give you a problem that has a given, and then you have to solve for it. And you also have to accept many theorems in chemistry or any other science that are already passed down. They're dogmatic in a sense, in a good sense, because it's already been tested. You can't retest everything. You have to accept certain premises. As Socrates mentioned, if you don't have a system of knowledge where you have a trusted source of knowledge, or knowledge that reveals itself, self-luminous knowledge, then you get what's called infinite regress. It means that you can never come to a conclusion. As an example, if I say that water boils at 100 degrees, and then you say, prove it, and I put a thermometer in water and we see at 100 degrees it starts boiling, then you might say, prove that's a real thermometer. And then I get a thermometer testing kit and I test it, and it shows that it's a real thermometer, but you say, that's not a real thermometer testing kit. Prove that. This can keep going back. As Socrates said, you can continue retreating forever and never come to a conclusion. So at some point, he said, just like an army that's retreating and retreating, you have to stop at some point and make progress forward. So Kapila Dev said, you must use your intelligence to understand that there is, or at least accept theoretically, as Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita in the introduction, if you don't believe in God, at least for the time being when you read this book, accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God as a given in a scientific way. Solve for this based on this premise. And these are logical points. And Krishna consciousness is scientific, but if you use one tool to test everything in the world, it would be ludicrous, wouldn't it? Like if you went out to test all the features of the world, but you just used something that measured velocity, for instance, and that's the only tool you had, you'd come back and say, well, you know, there's only a little bit of information we can get about the world. Wrong tool, limited scope of information. So Krishna consciousness is a science, but it's non-mechanistic. There is a scientific process, and it's listed in the Bhagavad Gita. And if one approaches using the techniques that Krishna recommends, then you will get a consistent result, which is the basis of materialistic science, the consistency of the result. Does that help?
Yes.
You have a follow-up question? Okay. Fantastic. Everyone okay? Say yes. You're better than okay because you're in devotional service. Rare souls. Loka, how are you? Yeah? Good to see you. So let's just have a little kirtan. Is it time for Artik? 15 minutes. Minus another question, we'll have a little kirtan and then we'll have Artik. Do you want to say anything? Pardon? I could, yeah. Questions are harder, right? You know, one thing I realize about having good questions is the more I study and look into things, the more questions I have. And in fact, in a really good hearing and chanting session, you can always judge by how many questions you come away with. You come out with more questions to be asked at the next opportunity when you meet somebody you think could answer them. You have one? He's just feeling ecstasy. Are there any last questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In introduction sloka, we had the sloka which says Nindadi Shunyam Pritami Ipshita Sankalapya. So, how do we get to that point of not finding fault with others? Like, what are the practical steps like if we are seeing a fault? How do we stop ourselves by not finding the fault?
Well, the first thing that you can do is to practice not verbalizing it, as that's when it starts to get complicated. There's a tendency to say everything that's on our mind, and if you see something that you feel is amiss, unless it's your duty to do so, you have every right not to say it. And you may notice the difference between thinking about somebody's fault and actually saying it. So once you say it, then it affects other people and it comes out into the environment, and it has a tendency to amplify the result, which is that you may then, by disparaging, if that's what you're doing, the person, you may not have a good relationship with them and so forth. So I recommend editing before you speak as a practice. This is the mind and the tongue work together, and they're impulsive. And the first verse of the Upadeshamrita says, Vacho Vegam, that control the Vega, the urge of the tongue to speak. And so Krishna gives the austerities of speech in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Say yes. It's right next to the austerities of the mind. Remember where that was? Chapter 17. He says, you should speak truthfully, beneficially, avoiding speech that offends. Should also regularly recite the Sri Upanishad. Right? You should regularly recite the Vedas. So you could practice, good work. You can regularly practice that. When you have some urge to speak, then try not saying it. And as far as coming to the point where you have no more inclination, it's an effect that comes about because of one's purity of heart. Generally, as Krishna says in the Gita, Icha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. The natural attitude of everyone in the world, because of identifying oneself to be a particular body, is then to have an aversion to other people who also have bodies, because they may not complement you or help your sense of controlling the world, and therefore we have an aversion to them. But when we lose that sense of being our material body and we identify more with the fact that we're servants of the Lord, There's a natural way in which we lose the propensity to unnecessarily criticize others. There's a scene in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, in the first canto, in which Maharaj Parikshit has approached the bull who represents Dharma. And the bull's been injured. And he asks him, "Who did this to you?" And the bull he won't answer. And it's because that one who names the culprit becomes complicit, says the Bhagavatam. So one who understands these principles, I'm not my body, whatever is happening to me, tenu kampam susamikshamano, bunjane vatma kritam vipakam, every person is an instrument of my own karma. We read about such personalities in the Bhagavatam, that they're no longer concerned with criticizing others. They see how the world is working in a uniform way, and everything's in place. The only thing that I need to adjust is my own consciousness. There was a Vaishnav in recent years, passed away recently, advanced devotee, who used to say, when people asked him, "What religion are you?" he'd say, "My religion is finding my own faults and trying to overcome them." That would keep one busy. If we're introspective and look for our own faults, we'll be so busy, we won't even notice the faults in others. Did you notice that fault? I was too busy trying to find my own. I never come to the end of them. Thank you for asking such a nice question. And all of you, again, I'd like to say that, not only what I like to say, I'm going to say it, that this is a very nice community. It's Krishna's arrangement because all of you are great souls. Somebody was driving by yesterday and just noticed there was cars, so they pulled in. Somebody who has that urge, they see cars at a Hare Krishna temple, it's like, let's go in. What to speak of those who move here just so they can go in and be with the devotees, or who take trouble to come here because you got to drive some distance, you got to get up and ready to be here. Such an impetus is born of utsahan, enthusiasm. And if you just keep doing that throughout your life, go on with your other work, but continue to do that, then all of the qualities will naturally manifest within the heart. If one uses one whole lifetime in devotional service, then Krishna makes all arrangements for us. Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
HG Prabhu ki. Let's have a louder round of applause for this. Practitioners must, we don't have thunder outside, but our applause should be like the thunder. Let's do that once more.
It's really loud. Thank you.